This episode of Brains on Games will preview District Noir, a set collector from Pandasaurus Games. Welcome to Brains on Games. I'm Dr. Brian McDonald, and this episode we're going to talk about a game that's coming out in the summer that was sent to me not too long ago by the folks over at Pandasaurus Games. This is a set collecting game where you're playing as the head of a criminal enterprise who's trying to take over Hoboken, New Jersey for some reason in the 50s. It's a game called District Noir. Now, District Noir is a two-player game. You can play it with kids aged 10 and up, and games take only about 15 minutes. So we played a bunch of them when we were learning how to play District Noir. Let's take a deeper look, though, at District Noir from Pandasaurus Games. District Noir is a light set collecting card game where what you're trying to do is earn victory points at the end of 4 rounds. You want to have the most victory points by collecting sets of cards numbered from 5 to 8. You might get some bonuses or penalties with these red betrayal cards. There's some other cards that give you some bonuses, some green cards with a plus on them. And so you want to have the majority of the cards in a set, and you want to have complete sets. You'll get 5 points for each complete set, and then if you have the majority of 6s, you'll get 6 more points. If you have the majority of 8s, you'll get 8 points. So you're collecting these cards in order to earn some victory points. The other way that you win the game instantly if you somehow manage to capture these. If you can get these 3 district cards, you've got City Hall and the docks and the police department on these cards. So if you can get all 3 of these, you instantly win the game, and it's game over. So you really are going to be paying attention when these 3 cards come up in your row. The first thing you do in District Noir before anything else happens is that you shuffle up all of the cards in the deck. You discard 3 of them to the box. So there's 3 that are going to be out of the game. You don't know which ones those are. They go face down into the box. You don't get to see them. You deal 5 cards to each player. 2 cards start the row, and then you begin playing. You've got this first player token here and it goes back and forth each round. So you flip this like a coin at the beginning, and of course each player is going to have a little cheat sheet that reminds them of how many cards of each type are in the deck and how many points each type of card is worth. On your turn, you're going to do one of 2 things. You are either going to play a card into the row, there's those green bonus cards that I was talking about earlier, or you are going to collect the 5 cards at the end of the row. So I don't have 5 yet. I could collect just these 3, but once you get 5, then I could collect all of those. If there's 6, I only get to collect the last 5. So the idea here is that you're going to get 6 actions in a round, and there's 4 rounds. Super easy to keep track of because of the number of cards. There's only 2 players. There are just enough cards in this deck for you to play 4 rounds once you've removed those 3 cards, like I said, from the beginning. So it's perfect. You don't need to count rounds. There's no round tracker or anything like that. You're just going back and forth until you run out of cards. The round is over, of course, once you've played your 5 cards and collected your 5. The tricky thing here is that you can only collect once per round. So you've got those 5 cards. You're going to have a total of 6 actions. You're going to play your 5 cards in, and at some point you're going to collect some. And that is where the game gets tricky. There's bluffing here, and you're sort of either you're trying to goad the player into collecting their cards too early so that they can't collect again later on, and you can play all 3 of your city cards, your district cards, into the row and get them yourself. Or you might be trying to prevent a player from grabbing the card that you want until you've got everything played that you want to collect. So it is a game that is all about timing. You're going to draft those 5 cards, and then you just put them in front of you over the course of those 4 rounds. You're going to see, I'll show a picture of what it's going to look like as you're collecting those cards. You get 5 points, like I said, for each set. You're going to get 7 if you have the majority of the 7s, and then you get the pluses and minuses. Of course, like I said, points don't even matter if you've got those 3 district cards on your side of the board. This is a game that's all about bluffing and timing, but what skills are you working on when you play District Noir? Well, you're certainly thinking about probability. You've got 3 cards in the bottom of the deck. What if one of those cards was one of the district cards, and then there's no point of you trying to collect 2 of them if the third one isn't even going to pop up? Maybe you're trying to remember, okay, well, there's only 5 5s in the deck, and that was the one. The 5s were the limiting factor in every game that we played, because you wanted to get those 5s as often as possible, because they are the rarest of the cards that you're collecting, and the only way to get a complete set is by making sure that you have enough 5s, because the 6s and the 7s and the 8s are much easier to get. So you are thinking about probability and the number of cards in the deck. Working memory is something that you're doing here as well. Working memory being the whiteboard in your mind where you keep information so that you can manipulate it somehow. And so you are counting up the total number of cards. You're sort of thinking, okay, well, there's this many cards left in the stack on the side. My opponent has 2 5s already in front of him, and I've got 1 in my hand. Like, am I going to be able to get the 5s that I want? How? So you are trying to there's some mental math, which is that does involve working memory as well. So you're doing those mental calculations. Is it better for me to play this card? Is my opponent likely to take it based on the cards that he's collecting so far? Do I want to play it now? Do I want to wait until he's gathered so that I'm guaranteed to get it? It is there's so much timing here, and you are kind of thinking about the math and trying to predict what's in the other player's hand and what is it that they're trying to collect in order to earn their points. Final thoughts about District Noir. Well, this is a game, it's super simple and straightforward. It's very easy to explain and to understand. You've got those 5 cards that you're going to gather in a round, and you can only do that once. So you're really trying to decide which cards you play and when. Super straightforward. And it's so much about... It's a game where at first when I looked at the rules, I thought, well, maybe this is too simple. Where's the strategy here? But it is so much about bluffing and timing, and you're constantly thinking about, if I play this, is my opponent likely to grab it from me? Or are you going to, if you know that your opponent wants to grab those 5 cards, maybe you're going to drop a -2 or a -3 on there to kind of make it give them a penalty as well. So there is a lot about timing. It reminded me in a way, honestly, of The Mind, which is another game I think that Pandasaurus put out, where you're trying to kind of guess what cards are in your opponent's hand. You're working together to play cards in ascending order. But with this one, it's competitive, and you're trying to figure out what cards your opponent has and which ones they want. So there is definitely, it's simple, it's straightforward, but there's more strategy than I thought just from my first read of the rules. It's so much about trying to get your opponent to make a mistake. And that was a fun mechanism. The addition of the district cards definitely does add a wrinkle for sure, because your opponent can instantly win. You could have all the points, you could have all the sets, but all of a sudden your opponent gets those 3 cards and it's game over for you. So that's certainly an interesting wrinkle as well. But you never even know if all 3 of those are going to be in the deck. Why? Because there's 3 cards that are in the box that you're not even playing with. Downsides then to District Noir. Well, this is a game that's 2-player only. So if both my kids are in the house, this is a game where all three of us play together. We can't play as a family of 4 with this one. We could do a tournament though, because it is short enough. It's only a 15-minute game, and I will say that it's interesting to watch the interplay between the 2 players as they're trying to trick the other one into gathering the wrong cards so that they can get the ones that they want. So it's still interesting to watch. Being a 2-player game, it's not really a knock on it, I don't think. The artwork I like, this Godfather-style gangster kind of artwork on the cards. They're all characters that are silhouettes. I do like that, but we found when we were playing, we were paying much more attention to the colors and the numbers of the cards and less so to the art. I feel like if these cards, I like the size, these tall, skinny cards, but if these cards had unique artwork, or if you had named this Godfather type character on this number 8 card, that we would have been paying more attention to the actual cards themselves. That might have been an interesting way of making this game more thematic as opposed to a more abstract set collecting game. But these aren't really knocks on this game, because it was quite an interesting game of timing and bluffing. and I haven't played a game like that in a while. So thanks so much to Pandasaurus for sending this game my way. If you have any questions about District Noir or comments about Brains on Games, you can leave them in the comment section below the video, or you can email me at brian@brainsongames.ca. Brainsongames.ca is the website. That's where future episodes will go. The previous ones are up there already. Brains on Games is the Twitter handle and the Facebook page and the Instagram feed, so we're all over the place. And if you enjoyed this video and you want to be notified of future ones, you can head on over to YouTube and click that subscribe button. Thanks for joining me, and hopefully I'll see you next time.